I am so embarrassed as an American. You know what I'm saying? An African American, a Black American. I am embarrassed. Hello, everybody over there who's mad at America. It's not our fault. It's the current president's fault. You know what I'm saying? Hello. Hello. All of us are saying this. He's a joke.
There is a huge fundraising deadline.
He's a joke.
Senate Democrats. They need your help right now if they're going to move it. Every dollar you give.
Asking you the specific question: is it true that you pay $750 in federal income taxes?
Of course he did.
Paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was.
Why are we arguing tax?
Sorry. I'm getting snapped.
You tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017.
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 700.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just say something that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, before I came here, the laws, I was a private developer. I was passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We built a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which by the way,
with you on game. Like y'all need to be paying attention.
if you can believe that.
This is how I scammed y'all. Like,
Did that happen? But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school teacher makes is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who in fact need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over in the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president. Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just say, Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing, including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American, that we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it
billions of
before?
dollars?
You were vice president with Obama.
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
the bar for white men is like,
let me pick up on that.
What the hell? This is it. This is the top two options
Or deregulation.
the greatest country in the world.
Let me just.
So far, she is in hell. Like,
It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery since economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my tax,
He just like tossing out words. He just like
to the companies that have poured in here will leave.
buzzwords.
Places they will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
booming. He blew it.
It wasn't booming.
It was
the weakest recovery since
Is it fair to say he blew it when, in fact, when there was record low unemployment before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse me, Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you're number two.
No.
Chris. They said it would take a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
I'm the guy.
He totally gave up.
We brought back, I was asked to bring back, we brought him back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're gone.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year.
Y'all.
Many women from Germany, from China.
They're not having it.
They didn't come.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit with Mexico.
Your lunch, China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars, to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $180 million?
I was about to say, shit, that was low.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't get $3.5 million?
Mr. President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
he got $3.5 million.
That is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
No, it's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did Burisma pay $183,000 a month?
What a body language, like.
Mr. President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who? The media.
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oth.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People you got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh, really? I'd like to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't
do
a good job.
With you, wait a minute. You get the final word.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say to you.
Why are you apologizing? He is a literal clown. Oh my.
$3.5 million.
Here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
Let him go.
lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
And that's such a,
They're right
That's
here.
it, Mr. President.
Every single one of them lost.
this is not
Mr.
about
President,
my family or his family. It's about your family.
They
The
didn't
American
make
people.
$3.5 million.
He doesn't, that's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
You should-
All right, that's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
It didn't take that long.
Vice President, no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
He stood up.
No,
Okay,
no.
that was spicy, Joe. That was spicy, Joe.
You know what?
Okay.
That's true.
Gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice,
He's
but
on
it seems to be.
Why do you hate to raise your voice? He is.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. The country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more
Well,
interrupting.
that's
than
all
you
right,
have.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less
There's
than,
plenty.
no, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for Black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the 2 of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people looked like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, spewing and just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed, and they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
It is
Now, second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military to use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African-American community.
So, President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with
He
racism?
did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the Black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that, because you Your test.
It is so important that people vote. It is so important to get people registered to vote. It is so vital.
Almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're running.
Literally the worst question he probably could have got again.
You look at any place you want to look. See, we were coming in the following day, and they put up.
He led with actual fucking facts for once.
Got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and
Now,
order.
had he prepared,
He's in just about the
he
time.
would have been able to address that in his first 2 minutes.
Democrats have
That is actual legitimate issues.
got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women.
And there we are.
Lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, to the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it, but we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town.
President Trump.
You want to bring up the fact that they actually considered using an actual fucking gun and actually used the sonic cannon on protesters to see everything that happened in our country.
This month,
Do you want to mention that maybe?
federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else. And he would know.
What is radical about racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really,
there's 3 white men discussing race, and that's why I've been holding my breath this whole time.
we have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's done that. He's racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than you.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference.
Oh, but systemic racism is more than getting my feelings hurt.
This guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to very many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now. But the reason is that the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order. You still haven't mentioned. Are you in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. Are you in
favor of law and order?
You have to let him finish.
Law and order.
This is law and order.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more.
All right, we're down. You're Mr. President. You're going to
Just goes Mike.
We're not going to talk about law and order.
We had trouble with Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly my question. There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer, particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact, there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200% crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But to run this country,
there's a whole thing.
run it, we would have our suburbs. And you would see problems like you've never seen.
Know a suburb unless you took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
Wait a minute.
We're doing dad jokes. This is that's the answer you give it.
Anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean? And do you support? It means, if I might finish the question, what does reimagining policing mean? And do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problem.
On that one,
and I'm
there.
To defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what he's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support. He has no law enforcement.
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
that's
nothing.
Look,
oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead. Think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
Think about it. Name one law enforcement group.
And dog walk you.
I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests. In many cities, that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a president. Declare my public statement. Prosecuted.
Okay, that's the framing of this question. Is that there's been 100 days of riots in Portland? That's how you want to frame that. That's how we lead it. You don't want to talk about like the cops literally kidnapping people off the streets. That's not. Oh, cool. That's cool. I love that. That's my favorite thing ever.
Shut him. For 3 days, President Trump, I had something on the U.S. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help us cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Conway.
I don't think she said.
She said that. And so here's the point. The
ahead.
point is that
Y'all get it. Oh, okay. I forgot. Y'all so removed from reality. Both of y'all. That you don't actually get what's happening on the ground.
figure out how to do this. Dude, he just pours gasoline in the
He's just telling us to eat cake.
At every single solitary.
Okay. To end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
You have
repeatedly.
No, you've been talking.
You made a statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to end it.
Sir,
I would love to end it.
If you want to switch seats,
we could very quickly.
We can do that. But I'm
sending the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities?
As we this is the tactic that's going to work.
Specifically, do it.
When you say one thing one time means nothing because you'll just say something else the next time, because that is what Trump does. Why are we still
do anything? I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would you like me to condemn?
Proud
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left.
FBI director.
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir.
Everybody,
we're moving on to the next.
That's not an idea.
Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous.
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're now moving on to the
reason why I'm getting mad is because Chris Wallace never came back around and said, hey, you didn't actually answer the question. That's why it feels like a stunt. You didn't call him out.
But Vice President Biden, you'd like to quote one of your dads.
So don't set up the question if you're not going to call him out.
Almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying it's time maybe, and then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets, but we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3 great Supreme Court
Hosts, we doing all right?
justices,
I know. I'm just.
the likes of which very few people. And
Do we need to
what
like
pisses off
take a
so many
moment?
judges?
Just what I all I've done this whole trip. I had so many more jokes planned. But no, I've just been so angry. So
Me too. Like I'm speechless. Like this is a fucking joke.
like what? Like in Cleveland, in this city, the poorest, the blackest of cities. I know starting the public. I got friends calling me because they can't get home because there's Humvees in the streets. And this is the thing I'm supposed to be excited about. This is what gives hope in the future.
I'm speechless. Like this is a fucking joke.
Like in Cleveland, in this city, the poorest, the blackest of cities. Elizabeth out here yelling.
Girl.
I'm actually just like, whoa, what? Like, y'all, like, what is it?
So I took a moment and I paused our debate because, you know, somebody got to do it. So we said we were going to go till 10.
Yes, we did.
But, you know, it's like a little moment.
Listen, I'm just going to end up doing this on my Facebook page. So, like, this, I have to put this energy somewhere, and my cat is staring at me because she doesn't understand English. So, like, I'm sorry, but, like, you can't put this in front of me and think I'm just going to be cool. There's a whole pandemic happening. We need Superman to show up, not Paul Kent. Like, what is happening? You've had over 4 years of information of how this man works in debates. Why are y'all playing day one games? He told you before he was ever elected that he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes, and y'all voted for him. So why do you think you can play the same old games? Like, I need a break. I'm gonna just take a water break real quick. Superman to show up.
Take that water break.
Paul Kent, like, what is happening?
Trump's a joke. This man's a joke. A joke. I can't believe people voted for this man and really are down for this joke of a human being.
So why do you think you can play this?
I'm at a loss for words, for real.
I'm gonna just take a water.
Like, I knew Trump was gonna look like an ass, but like, this is on a national platform. You know what I'm saying? This is on an international platform. Okay? We are being watched, and people are thinking, well, people are believing that he represents us. I don't accept that. This is what it looks like to not vote. I'm done. I can't believe this crap. I can't believe it. Like I knew it was gonna be crazy. I'm still trying to grasp everything that Trump was arguing about, but never answered the question for real. Like he was playing Ring Around a Rosie around all the questions. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even though this, I guess the show of it all, right, is very expected, it's still mad exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
I was feeling the mad exhausting too.
Yeah.
It's still going. Are y'all watching it?
I'm not. I was just watching. I was watching on this feed. So
Yeah,
once
so
you turn it off,
We can bring it back. It is still going.
Sure.
We should even have a conversation together. We could bring back the live feed of the debate, which continues, or we could chat a little. We could take this pause.
I would much rather hear your voices for some time.
I mean, I pretty much have said everything that's on my heart and mind because I don't have a filter. I just, and this thing is like, because I think a lot of people want to, because people find out about me through Black Spring Cleveland, and so they think I have some like history in being an activist or something. I really don't. I have a lot of friends that are activists. I know a lot of people who give a fuck about other people, and that's my friendship with other people. So, that's how that works. To me, this is far too, okay, backing up a step. Black existence in America is the height of absurdity. There is a reality that everyone has accepted, and then the reality that we live. Absurdity is that thing in between that doesn't line up, right? And that's our existence here. We've got to put laws on the books so that we can have our hair the way it naturally grows in our work environment. That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if I'm somehow surprised by this absurdity. What I'm surprised is by the reaction to it. At some point, you have to yell back. The idea, the quorum is what got Trump here in the first place, because the quorum normalizes it.
Mm-hmm.
This is okay. And we will come down to your level no matter where you put the bar in hell. And so, like, so what you're hearing is like, I can't get pressed about the left side of my screen right now because he's been doing this every single day. My thing is, if you want, like, what is he doing? I'm looking at Casper the Friendly Ghost out here telling me that my feelings are hurt when we talk about racism. Like, my kingdom for some prep. Like, and I have to vote for you so that I can then hopefully keep this same energy so that we keep your feet on your neck so that we get you to a place where you realize that perhaps the institution built on slave catchers maybe doesn't work for policing today. I'm so done. I'm so done.
It's okay, my sister.
Oh, you muted, Megan.
Thank you. I feel like for all of our wellness and sanity and everything, we should probably not continue with the delightful debate. But do you guys want to all say a few words before we, like step away from it and step into our own?
Can I interject real quick? I need y'all to just say something very positive. Just say something positive. Say something positive about your day before we end this. Just to like cleanse the negativity, whatever we're feeling inside. Just say something positive. Like, instance for me, I love going to the grocery store with my son and my 2 dogs. It's the best adventurous trip that is like 10 minutes away, but it's so much fun. And I am grateful for those moments that we share together in my minivan, in the grocery store, and coming back home.
Okay, now I'll talk about the things, and then something positive will come out by the time I'm done. But yeah, like I said, it's all a show, and I think it's wild, right? Because you know it's presented as two sides, and so it's like almost it makes it feel like as if there could be this expectation that they're going to be really, you know what I'm saying, far apart from each other. But it's like the more you hear the rhetoric, the more it's realized they actually mad close. You know what I'm saying? So it's just two shades of the same color. And it can be frustrating if you're like, oh man, one color really showing out. I'm really seeing how trash this is. So I'm expecting you to be on the opposition. It's like, I mean, I ain't really that far. But it's also just because so many things seem almost set in stone. So I feel like there's even laziness to even like actually do the work to make people like feel invested. Because it's like, well, I know you ain't rocking with them, so I ain't really got to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna vote for me out of fear regardless. And so there's just like, so ain't got, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, all right. I mean, that's like, I used to think too, like, there's a big old circle. I would bring back somehow, maybe. I think in terms of maybe like dealing with manipulation, I was always afraid of someone deceiving me.
Yes.
Or getting over on me. And I realized the greatest manipulation is when I knew exactly what was going on, but I could do nothing to stop it. And so I feel like that's very much a lot of times the position I really put in, where it's like, yeah, you know this trash, but I know you ain't got no other option. And so it's exhausting, you know what I'm saying? But I think like for a lot of things, sometimes it gotta get worse before it can get better. And so like if there's going to be a belief in the voting system, if people are going to participate in that, and that's the way to get things to be better, like there would have to be some other way to participate in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it could be with two parties. Or voting people that got hella money. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't never really gonna work in the interest of poor people. These cats be very removed from the average person that's living. You know what I'm saying? So even if they got good, I mean, we've seen people with good intentions, still that was happening. And so it's like when all the options that are presented is like, dang, who's the most distant cat that pretend to care? You know what I'm saying? It'd be hella trash. But I did get to spend some time with this really nice president that was super thoughtful. I wasn't even expecting that at all. It was one of those things where you're like, you just be talking. You don't even be throwing no hint at nothing. You just talking. You know what I'm saying? And I guess they just thought about that. It was like, yo, I'm gonna like give you this thing. I was thinking about what you said. It's like, what? That's wild. You ain't even, it wasn't even no holiday. Well, my birthday. You brought this thing that I was talking about. So I felt really warm on the inside. Made me feel really good. So, you know, yeah, I hope somebody bring y'all something that you ain't even asked for, that you needed. Or, you know what I'm saying, you get the joy of gifting somebody else something. I gotta do better at that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? You be like, oh man, whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm like, oh, that's you know what I'm saying? But this moment showed me. Next time I'll be like, all right, I could do that for you.
So I know I've been angry, and I am of the belief that holding back emotions is a form of normalizing. I also am of the belief that being emotional out loud is a form of disruption and protest. And I think that people profit a lot off of complacency, decorum, what is normal. And I can't emphasize enough that we are way past that. Now, you ask me what is good. I tell you this. I came up with Black Spring Cleveland in the middle of a panic attack. I didn't know what I was doing. Today, they're part of a coalition of groups that showed out and demonstrated in one of the biggest, safest demonstrations against what is happening in this city. They are a well-oiled machine. more than 75 people strong of volunteers just giving what they've got, where they got, how they got it. There's no, if George Soros exists with his money, I have never even smelled, okay, a whiff of a thought of an idea of his existence. We are poorer than poor putting these things together. That's where my hope lies, because it's not there. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't understand what else can I possibly say? So my thing is, my hope is on the ground. My hope is in the grassroots orgs, and I wish I could remember everybody's name off the top of my head. But don't worry, go to our websites, go to every social media outlet we got, because we list them. Because you ain't got to get on board with us, but you got to get on board somewhere. Because do you see what they are telling you are your options? They don't care. And I don't know how many words I can say. We are in the middle of a pandemic. This is going to get worse. Nut up now, y'all. Let's go. Come on, damn. Okay, I'm gonna just sign off because I know I've said enough.
All right, so I'll say my joy is y'all. It was like the best to hear and share tonight with you guys. And Spaces thanks you, our hosts, for being amazing. And yeah, the debate's still going on, but I think we're all right. What do you guys think? Do you wanna all sign off tonight and let everyone watch the rest in their own?
Yeah, I think, I like us ending on our voices. Yeah.
All right. So we thank you for your thoughts, your time. Diana, am I leaving you out?
Oh no, I just said yeah. It's a lot right now. It's a little depressing.
That is hurt. You are appreciated. You are really appreciated. And thank you so much. We are going to let everyone do this exciting event on their own for the rest of the night. You have your carrots, your beverages, your joy, and we take this very highly. But have a beautiful, beautiful night regardless.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Peace, y'all.
Bye, y'all.